I first noticed him standing at the far end of the train platform. A man in a dark coat. Still, calm, watching me as if he had been waiting. The wind was cold enough to sting my cheeks. Leaves scraped across the concrete like tiny claws. The overhead lights buzzed softly, flickering at the edges. I pulled my bag closer to my side. The man did not move. He simply observed me with an expression that carried no emotion at all. When I walked toward the ticket machine, his gaze followed. Slow, precise, as if he already knew exactly where I would go. My fingers trembled slightly while I pressed the buttons. It felt strange, almost as if the air around me had thickened. I tried to ignore him, but every sense in my body sharpened. My ears caught the sound of distant footsteps. My chest tightened with a quiet pressure. Then I heard his voice behind me. Low, clear, unhurried. "You are always early on Thursdays," he said. I froze. My breath stopped halfway in my throat. I turned slowly, my heart hammering against my ribs. He stood only a few steps away now. Close enough for me to see that his eyes were a pale, washed-out gray. Close enough for me to see that he was not blinking. "You prefer the left side of the train," he continued. "You choose the third window seat because it feels safer." My mouth felt dry. A cold shiver ran across my spine. I had never seen this man in my entire life. "Who are you?" I managed to ask. My voice sounded thin and uneven. He tilted his head slightly, as if studying me, as if I were a puzzle he had already solved. "I know you," he said. "I have known you for a long time." The platform seemed to grow quieter. The world around us narrowed to the space between his words and my fear. Even the passing wind felt hesitant. "You always carry your bag on your right shoulder," he said. "You always check the time twice. Once before the train arrives. Once after." I stepped back without meaning to. My hands grew cold. My pulse throbbed in my fingertips. His expression remained calm, almost gentle, almost. "And today," he said, "you are trying very hard to pretend that your hands are not shaking." My breath quickened. My skin crawled with a tension I could not name. "Why do you know these things?" I whispered. A faint smile touched his lips. Not warm, not friendly, a smile that looked like a secret placed carefully across his face. "Because," he said, "I remember the night you first walked home alone." My stomach tightened instantly. The memory he mentioned was one I had never spoken about. "Not to anyone. How could you know that?" I asked. My voice cracked softly. He took one small step closer. The scent of old paper and cold air surrounded him. His presence felt heavier now. More deliberate. "I was there," he said. He said the words with a certainty that struck me harder than the cold wind around us. My chest tightened. The platform seemed to tilt slightly beneath my feet. "You were there?" I asked. My voice carried a tremor that I could not hide. The stranger's eyes remained locked on mine. Unblinking, unmoving, unnervingly steady. "The street was quiet that night," he said. "You walked with your head down. You counted the steps between the street lamps because the shadows frightened you." The blood in my veins felt hot and heavy. I remembered that night far too clearly. The silence, the uneasy feeling, the sense that someone had been watching me. I swallowed hard, but my throat felt tight. "How do you know this?" I asked again. He inhaled slowly, as if he were savoring the moment. "You were 14 years old. You carried a blue backpack. There was a loose thread on the right strap. You pulled at it while you walked." My heart pounded against my ribs. I had never shared those details with anyone. Not friends. Not family. Not even in my own thoughts. "You stopped under the flickering lamp," he continued. "You looked over your shoulder. You felt that something was following you." His tone was steady and rhythmic, like someone reciting a memory that belonged to him. My breath grew shallow. A strange pressure filled my lungs. "You were there," I whispered. "You followed me." He did not answer at first. His silence stretched across the space between us, thick and heavy. Then he nodded, a single, deliberate motion. "Yes. I watched you from the corner of the street." A sharp chill crawled across my body. My hands felt weak. I stepped backward slowly, but the stranger mirrored my movement with an effortless glide, as though he expected every reaction before I even made it. This is impossible, I said. I would have seen you. No, he replied. Your fear kept you from turning far enough. You were too focused on your own footsteps. The lights above us flickered again. A humming sound echoed across the empty platform. The overhead speakers crackled faintly, but no announcement followed. He took another step closer. His coat brushed lightly against the wind. He stood close enough now that I could hear the quiet rhythm of his breathing. You think this is the first time we have spoken, he said. It is not. My stomach twisted sharply. A cold sweat broke across my palms. What do you mean? I asked. His pale eyes studied me with a quiet intensity. There have been many moments, he said. Moments when you sensed someone nearby. Someone who knew what you were thinking. Someone who understood your fear before you did. I felt dizzy for a moment. Memories flickered through my mind. The quiet street corners. The feeling of being watched. The sense of someone matching my pace just out of sight. You were there all those times? I asked. He nodded slowly. I have always been close to you. Closer than you realize. The train tracks vibrated lightly, as if something distant were approaching. Metal groaned softly beneath the platform. The air smelled faintly of rust and damp concrete. Why? I asked. The word left my mouth before I could think. It felt too small to hold the weight of everything he had said. The stranger tilted his head again. His expression shifted into something I could not read. Not anger, not joy, something colder, something that made my skin tighten. You want an answer, he said. You believe the truth will comfort you. I shook my head before he even finished speaking. No part of me believed the truth would bring comfort. He moved one step closer. There was barely an arm's length of space between us now. His presence felt like a shadow taking shape. The truth, he said softly, is that I know every fear you keep hidden. I know the moments you try to forget. I know the thoughts you bury where no one can find them. My heart raced so fast it felt painful. My breath came in thin, uneven bursts. You know nothing about me, I said, though the words felt weak. His faint smile returned, a small curl of the lips that carried no warmth. Then allow me to show you, he said. He raised one hand slowly. Not threateningly, almost gently, and then he spoke a detail so private, so deeply buried in my memory, that the ground beneath my feet seemed to shift. A detail I had never spoken out loud. A detail that only I should have known. My body went cold. A trembling sensation crept up my spine. My vision blurred slightly at the edges. How can you know that? I whispered. His expression remained calm, unmoved, certain. Because, he said quietly as he lowered his hand, your memories are not as hidden as you believe. He stepped even closer, and his voice dropped to a level that felt almost intimate. And I am not finished. The platform felt smaller, now, as if the walls of the night were closing in around us. The stranger's breath formed faint white clouds in the cold air, rising and fading before they reached me. My legs felt heavy, but I forced myself to take one step backward. What do you want from me? I asked. The words trembled as they left my mouth. He looked at me as if the answer should have been obvious. As long as you run from your past, I will remain beside you, he said. You created me. Every fear you locked away, every memory you tried to erase, every shadow you avoided gave me form. My heartbeat slowed for a moment. Confusion and fear twisted together inside me. You are not real, I said. His pale eyes softened slightly. I am as real as the fear you still carry, he replied. As real as the night you looked over your shoulder and hoped no one was there. The lights above us steadied. For the first time, the buzzing stopped. The silence settled over the platform like a thick blanket. A distant roar echoed along the tracks. The incoming train. Its headlights appeared as a distant glow, growing brighter with each second. The stranger stepped back, creating a small space between us. His expression shifted into something almost human. Almost sorrowful. You are no longer the frightened child who walked alone, he said. You can choose what follows you now. I felt the weight of his words settle inside me. For a moment, everything felt strangely clear. The fear that had lived in me for so many years was no longer a shadow chasing me. It stood in front of me. It had a face, a voice, a shape I could finally see. The train screeched as it slowed to a stop. The doors slid open with a soft hiss. Warm light spilled onto the cold concrete. I turned toward the stranger again. He watched me with quiet expectancy. As if the moment belonged to me alone. As if the choice had always belonged to me. I took a slow breath. My chest felt lighter than it had in years. "I do not need you anymore," I said. His expression softened further. He nodded once. A calm, accepting gesture. "Then walk forward," he said. "And do not look back this time." The train doors chimed. The light inside flickered gently, warm and inviting. I stepped toward it. Each footfall felt more certain. More grounded. More mine. Before I entered, I glanced over my shoulder one last time. The stranger stood beneath the dim platform lights. His outline shimmered faintly, like a shadow losing its shape. And then, slowly, he faded. As if dissolving into the quiet air. As if the darkness had never needed him again. I stepped into the train. The doors closed softly behind me. The world beyond the window shifted into motion. The platform drifted away. For the first time in a very long while, I felt a quiet peace settle inside me. The kind of peace that comes not from forgetting the past, but from finally meeting it face to face. The train moved forward, and I did too.